Hey everybody, Jeremy here. So today I'm going to be making another terrarium, this time for my Mass Effect minifigures. And this is basically how I put the whole thing together. It's going to be a little bit different than the first one that I made using succulent plants. So the first thing I did here is I got a little $10 bowl from Target and I just lined the bottom with Pebbles. Why? I just wanted to give it a more earthy kind of a feel. And this tree that I have here is actually a dead Hokkaido Chinese elm bonsai tree that I killed quite a while ago. And I thought that, hey, even though this thing is dead, I can still get some use out of it by using it as a bit of a centerpiece. So I tried to stick it down there inside the bowl, but the root ball was still pretty compact for some of the old soil. So now I'm just raking away with this little metal tool, and that's just going to help to not only expose some of the lower trunk, which will be kind of more interesting to look at, but we'll also be able to see some more of those nice roots, even though they're dead, and it'll really help to add to the landscape a bit. So if you end up killing a tree of yours, before you throw it into the wood chipper, if you're going to create some type of lifelike project like this, consider saving it, because sometimes little trees that you have, or maybe even things you find in your own backyard, can really help bring a diorama to life, so to speak. So I'm just trying to get an idea of how everything is going to look here, and I'm using some of these materials that I got from Dollar Tree, or $1.25 Tree really, and I'm starting things off here with a little bit of natural looking sand, just kind of putting that all around just to see, and get a feel of how things are going to shape up. And the cool thing about making little diorama pieces like this is there's really no wrong way to do it. It's really whatever you want to do. No one says that you have to use sand, but if you want to, you totally can, and you can make it work. Like here, I'm going to add a bit of blue sand to this for no other reason other than I like blue sand. And since I'm going to be using this as a Mass Effect diorama, they go to all kind of different planets and stuff, and things is just weird. So that really helps to remove all kind of rules that might be associated with anything looking realistic or, something like that, because it's Mass Effect, it's an alien world. So I can really do whatever the heck I want. So now I'm just adding some more rocks, just for a little bit of texture. So when you can look at the outside of the bowl, you can sort of see layers building up in a way. And that's another thing that I was kind of wanting to go for. But just having these rocks is kind of all over. I'm kind of going for like a desert feel, but on an alien planet. So you got the typical signs of death, but there's also going to be signs of life here. And we'll see those in a minute. Now, I'm not trying to plant this tree, I'm just trying to get it so that it doesn't move as freely, and I'm going to do some more things a little bit later on just to kind of get it in there a little bit better. So before I reach for the moss, I'm just going to put a little bit more sand on there. Not as much sand as I used the first time around, but just something to kind of break up the blue a little bit, just to make it a little more interesting. And then I got myself some dried moss here. Picked this up at Home Depot. It's about $5. None of these materials are expensive at all. And I'm just going to tuck that around the tree. And not only is it going to just make the whole presentation look a little bit more interesting, because whenever you have that little pop of green in there, it just really makes things stand out, but it's also going to sort of hug the bottom of that tree a bit, just to kind of keep it upright so that it doesn't want to fall. And the great thing about this moss is it's really easy to just tear apart, and you don't have to use huge sheets or tiny little pieces. You can just use however much you want and shape it however you desire. But like I said earlier, nothing that you can really do in these types of things is wrong. It's just up to your own imagination. So now that I got all that down, I'm just going to take a little bit of these little colored rocks. These are kind of like a bright greenish kind of a rock, and I just sprinkled a little bit of them over there. Not a whole lot, because I don't think that those rocks really serve too much of a purpose. Just wanted to add some more elements to it. And then also from Dollar Tree, I have this little well ornamental piece here. So I just thought that having little things like that can be kind of cool. I did this in the last diorama too. So I put the little well in the corner, and then I have some really dark blue like glass shards. They're not sharp, but they are a really nice color blue, and I like putting that around little sources of water just to make it stand out a little bit more. And more sand. Yep. Lots of sand in this. After smoothing out that sand a bit, I got some decorative pebbles that I'm just going to just kind of put around the tree a little bit there. You see some rocks just kind of out of nowhere hanging out in the wild. So that's kind of what I'm going for there. And all these little bits and pieces is just to add a little bit more life to the scene overall. But this is just one small part of it. And the greatest thing about this little terrarium is nothing is going to be actually planted. So there's no watering required, because I'm going to be using these Tillandsias. These are also known as air plants. And not only do these things look completely alien, you don't have to bury them in soil. In fact, they don't like soil. They get their nutrients from the air. And when you water them, all you have to do is just dunk them in some water for about an hour, maybe even sometimes overnight. And then you can just leave them like that for overnight. You take them out and they're good for a week. So really all you have to do is, just make sure they get some line, and you dunk them in water once a week, and you can literally put these things anywhere. And that's what I'm doing here, just trying to figure out exactly where I'm going to be putting these things, the placement of it all. And there's about 12 of them here. If you're interested in these air plants, I got them from this shop called airplanthub.com. It seems to have a pretty good reputation over on Reddit. So I'll leave a link in the description so you can check them out and maybe pick up some air plants if you're interested in them. But I think these things are really cool looking and really freaky. And now to kind of finish things off a little bit, I got some more smaller decorative stones that came with a lucky bamboo plant that I got from Lowe's. They like to use lots of decorative stones in there. And here is the final product. So at the bottom here, we have Tally investigating the scene, and there's Ashley trying to figure out what the heck is this growing along the side. And up top, we have Liara trying to gather some data on this Tillandsia that I put on the top of the tree. So this is the little landscape form planet that I decided to put these last three Mass Effect Mega Constructs minifigures into. And I thought that it was a pretty cool way to display them, especially since Mass Effect is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time, especially the first three games. And I thought this would be a good way to kind of show them off in a unique way for us toy collectors. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you find the inspiration to maybe do something like this on your own.